Hello, it's Delia. Thanks for clicking on. So, um, I was just having a conversation a little while ago with a group of other light workers. We were talking about um, how the brain, the thinking aspect of us, is not equipped to to comprehend energy work, not very well, because language is physical based. So for the body to understand things, it needs to be in terms of the, you know, we have more than five senses, but we'll just call it the five senses. And so when you're um, like as a teacher, a lot of times it's challenging because you can't use regular language. You have to use analogies, you have to use parables, you have to use examples. And a lot of times surrealism works the best because it is the nature of life is hyper real, surreal. And energy does not have to, consciousness particular, does not have to abide by the rules of physics. I hear some science out there saying, well, energy does. But there's a place where energy and consciousness commingle. And in science these days, they talk about how a wave can be a particle can be a wave. I mean, there's all kinds of states of being that are beyond what the five senses in their simplest form say. An example is that you can't you can't break the laws of physics. I hear that term often used. Well, we've had this new discovery and we're breaking the laws of physics. The laws of physics cannot be broken. The story of the laws of physics, the story we have about how things work, we can discover is inaccurate. But the laws of physics cannot be broken. Only new awareness about our story of physics, which destroys the story we used to have, which is, by the way, natural. We're supposed to grow. Everything, the nature of life, everything grows and changes all the time. Change is the only constant. Energy doesn't die, it just changes form. Same with consciousness. And existence. Existence changes form. It does not go from existence to non-existent. There's no such transition. So a lot of these kind of bigger container thoughts, right? You can have them as a person, you can read enough, you can expand your mind with concepts and imagination and meditation and talking to your angelic helpers. But in general, if you were to talk about things like in People magazine, if you were gonna take spirituality and the nature of reality and the nature of creating your future and reduce it into the simplicity of a People magazine article, you're going to miss a lot. Because by the time you make it palatable for a People magazine article, you have had to have scraped off a good deal of the nature of what you're talking about. Because the nature of life and metaphysics or spirituality, it's not the nature of physical reality. It's not the nature of this 3D, as we're calling it these days, world. The world of you have to get up, you have to go to work, you have to make money to support your family, you have to work too many hours, you have to be too tired all the time, you can't really get enough sleep, you can't eat properly, you can't take a breath. All of that stuff is, it seems to be like hardcore reality. This is the true reality. This is the nitty gritty. You have to get your head out of the clouds and face what life is. But all of those stories about facing what life is are, let's say, consensus. It's the agreed upon story by the society. And it's agreed upon that money is more valuable than people. And you can see that by the demonstration, not by, nobody actually, I suppose some people would actually say that outright. But anyway, money is more valuable than people, and domination is more powerful, is more valuable than freedom. The idea is that the dominator, the oppressor, has the freedom and then you don't. So there are these constructs that everybody acts on as though it's true, although intellectually I can hear the debates. But energetically and pragmatically, that is how this society is run right now. Gun rights are more valuable than the right to live of others, and the right to dominate and control others is more valuable to some than everybody doing well, which is the value that a lot of us have. And these kinds of close to the ground dynamics and arguments and fights that are going on are not the whole thing. They're the surface story. And what's really transpiring is, how do you be senior in your space? How do you have sovereignty in your life and in your well-being in a world that wants you scared and frazzled and overtired, overworked, overworried, over anxious? How do you operate differently, especially when you feel all of those things, kind of outnumbered by all of this overwhelm? So what I mean by being senior in your space is, let's say you're watching a news story or TV or a reel on the video, and it's a sad story, and you can relate to the person who's going through the troubles. And then the next thing you know, you're drowning in your own tears. So what's happening in a situation like that? A lot of times I will hear people say, well, you're empathic, or you're psychic, and you're clairsentient, and therefore you're overwhelmed with emotion. And it kind of stops there. And the truth is that many of you are empathic, and many of you are clairsentient, and you do navigate life. You filter life. You experience life through your second chakra, which is the clairsentience. You can sense and feel the energy of other people. And you can be clairsentient and not be swept away by other people's emotions. Truly. You can have your clairsentience, you can have that awareness, you can have that way of operating in the world without losing yourself. So this was news to me back in the day when I discovered this. And I was relieved. And I have been relieved ever since I started learning how to not be a victim of my own awareness and my own sensations, the sensations and the emotions that I'm aware of and through my body of other people. It used to just be way too much. It turns out that you can have the information without the other people's emotions in your body. When you have other people's emotions, when you're a sponge, many of us have been a sponge for a long time. When you are a sponge for other people's emotions, you will get overwhelmed because your body, your system, which is bigger than your body and more than your physical body, is not designed for other people's emotions to be operating or their energy to be operating in your system. It's like adding sugar to the gas tank. It does not work. And one of my favorite questions is just, be curious. Say you go to lunch with a friend. Can you digest? Can your stomach digest the lunch they just ate? No. Well, your system is not supposed to digest other people's energies. Your system is supposed to stop and go, wait, something's wrong here. So your system is rightfully telling you that something is wrong by being that bogged down. And being that bogged down state is your system telling you, we have stuff to get out of here because it doesn't belong here. And there are pragmatic things that you can do to get other people's energy out of your space. And there are ways that you can learn how to not be a sponge. And at times it feels, what are the different things that I felt? Maybe heartless, to not take in other people's pain. It sounds funny now, but it seemed to me like it was maybe heartless of me to not be so consumed by other people's emotions, as though I was leaving it all up to them, as though that was a bad thing. But see, the premise of that thinking is that I'm supposed to be able to take on other people's energy and transmute it. And that is a wrong premise. That's all. It's just inaccurate. So you can be a calming and healing presence without taking on other people's emotions. And believe me, everything works so much better. And that's an example of being senior in your space. You're aware of your space, you're aware of your energy field, your energetic bodies, as well as your physical body. And you have listened long enough, well enough to have an understanding of your body and your energetic communications, which is sensations, memories, why are you having that memory at this moment, pictures. So your whole system is communicating with you 24/7. But generally speaking, because how we are built and how we operate has never been really acknowledged, much less we've never been given clean information about it. everybody's kind of walking around trying to be responsible for other people, or trying to not be responsible for anybody, including oneself. There's a lot of confusion. So being senior in your space means you can watch the very sad story, and you can acknowledge the sorrow and the loss. And you can also be aware of a bigger picture, the spiritual perspective, which you may or may not be able to access in that moment. But you can be aware of it sufficiently that you are not swept away and you're not confused that what's happening to somebody else is happening to you. all, all while still being a caring person. It just feels very different. So, in a time when there are organizations or groups or people or entities that are hell-bent on keeping everybody overstimulated and over-agitated, learning the practices of how to be senior in your space, how to listen to all of you, how to all of your parts, and how to operate as an embodied spirit or connected body and spirit, your body personality and your infinite self, your consciousness, working together. And then you can be clear-eyed, caring, and today you can start to be creating a better tomorrow. And that's powerful. So I hope that cleared some things up. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. All right, till next time.